So we're very happy to have Eric here tonight. And a little bit about Eric. In 1990, he planted a seed and founded a luxury chauffeur transportation business. He invested the next 20 years in nurturing that seed. He oversaw daily operations, developed policies and procedures, even sales and marketing tools. And he grew his company into the largest limousine service in Rhode Island. In 2010, he sold his company, and now he offers his skills as small business consultant. So here's Eric.
The summer after my freshman year at Johnson & Wales, I did what most students do. I bought a used limousine and started a business. I wanted to offer super service that would set me apart from the competition. I quickly realized that if I could answer every phone call, it would be the first step in helping me to provide superior customer service. So, I went out and purchased my first cell phone at the cost of $2,000. At the time, I was the only person on campus to have a mobile phone. It was the first of many times that I used technology to help provide super service over the 20 years that I owned the business. My intention was to work my way through college, sell the limo, then begin a real career. I'll admit that owning a limo in college at 19 had its perks. By graduation, I had a small fleet of 3 vehicles and a loyal customer base. My intention to return to New Jersey after graduation was abandoned, and I stayed in Providence to grow my personal and professional life. Over the next 2 years, I grew the business to 6 vehicles while significantly growing my waistline and stunting my personal development. By 2010, when I sold the company, I had 25 vehicles, 50 employees, lost 75 pounds, and grown personally. Inevitably, when I talk about owning a limo company, people are interested to know about the celebrities I've met. Of course, I have taken the super secret limo chauffeur oath of confidentiality. So while I cannot tell you who I've driven, I can share some of those stories without divulging names. In May 1992, I had one of my more memorable experiences. On the way to speak at URI graduation, I took this performer by the home of the South County Chicken Lady. She had a stuffed chicken outfitted in a white sweater in his honor, and was stunned to be able to present it to him in person as he stood in the driveway. The next day, while returning him to the airport, he asked me to stop to get him a burger for the plane ride home. While I was waiting in line, he came in and asked to use the restroom. The staff was shocked, then promptly advertised his presence on their marquee for the next 3 months. Just like the previous celebrity, this well-known musician traveled without an entourage or security detail. It has been noticeable to me that often the bigger the celebrity, the less concerned and likely they are to travel with security and handlers. It was nice to see his continued dedication to his family and to his music. Of course, we traveled in black vehicles only. While waiting backstage at the then Providence Civic Center, I remember wondering why this notorious guy needed so much security. After the show, I drove his junior proteges home to New York and remember thinking how ironic it was to be dropping them off at anonymous street corners in Brooklyn just 3 hours after a sold-out show. Two years later, the notorious guy was shot in the drive-by shooting. Like the previous celebrity, the business magnate known for her creative presentation spent some time locked up. She was friendly enough, but clearly had an agenda. I guess I should have tried to pay a little bit closer attention to her quiet private phone calls while traveling around in the back of the car. The time I spent with this next actress may have been one of my most personally beneficial experiences. After a number of hours together, I shared with her how much my mother enjoyed her comedic acting, especially during her final few months alive after struggling with cancer. Reruns of her show kept my mother smiling. She was so touched by my story, she called her son, agent, then manager, and asked me to repeat the story I had told her. I know, this slide is a little politically incorrect. Over the years, I've met a number of people whose on-screen personalities are very large or boisterous. Often in person and away from the limelight, they are quite reserved and shy, and actually uncomfortable with all of the attention they receive. So what's the other end of the spectrum? Well, this guy. When the prime of your career is 20 years in the rearview mirror, you should not be demanding to travel on the Block Island Ferry in a white stretch limo when you're the only passenger. After growing up on his music, it was fun to spend numerous days in Providence and Newport with this next performer. After driving around Newport for 45 minutes in search of a bakery he had fond memories of, we went in to get muffins and coffee to go. It was fun to watch the 16-year-old counter girl recognize him but not be able to figure out who he was. As an artist, he could not turn it off, constantly tapping the dashboard, humming, composing, never stopping, never able to silence the music in his head. Over the numerous visits, he never missed a chance to stop at his favorite Providence restaurant. He would even mention it from the stage when performing. A love of Providence restaurants is something that we share. I hope he comes back soon to enjoy some of the many new great restaurants. In October 1997, they had a big hit, but were still trying to make it big by playing the local music scene. It was almost disastrous when they arrived at sound check to realize they'd left the guitar at the airport. After a 20-minute negotiation with TSA, they released the guitar to me and the show went on. I was treated like the president of their fan club for the rest of their stay. Maybe they still will make it big someday. In 1996, they were here for a week training for the World Cup of Hockey. To celebrate the end of their intensive practices, they loaded into a van on Sunday night and headed to the once famous Warwick nightclub. Upon being denied admittance for wearing sandals, I swapped my shoes with a star player. It's the only time I've ever chauffeured in flip-flops, and now I can say I've got athlete's foot from an athlete. I drove this respected member of the press on my birthday on April 7th in 2004. He was the type of guy you feel like you knew long before you actually met him. We had a lovely conversation. The rest of the time he was on the phone with his scheduler. I remember thinking that of all the people I'd met over the years, his schedule seemed the busiest. I wondered if he remembered to schedule enough time for himself. In 2002, less than 1 year after 9/11, and less than 2 years after having the presidency stolen from him, I was struck by the average life this former vice president was living. No Secret Service, no entourage, just a guy at a hotel wanting a ride to see a living legend at the folk festival. Too bad. I believe that if he had been president, he would have been much better than average. This was the final celebrity that I drove before selling my company. As a New Jersey native and lifelong fan of the music, the 6 hours that I spent with him were special. I was shocked at how down to earth and humble he was. After choosing to get a couple slices of pizza, he seemed genuinely surprised and touched that he was recognized and approached for pictures and autographs. This has been a collection of just a few of my celebrity interactions, and I'm very sorry that I could not share the identities with you. If you're interested in hearing more, or would like to know more about what I'm doing now, you can often find me sitting at one of many local coffee shops, or feel free to contact me by email or Facebook. Thank you.